Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the How They Did It series. I am Moyolua Ogujebi. So if you haven't watched episode 1, you should definitely check it out, especially if you'll be taking the WASSCE this year or anytime soon. So on this episode, an outstanding student, Ife Oluwapo Abe, we'll be sharing our experience with the UTME. So Ife took the UTME twice and she scored a 320 on her second attempt. Now, taking the UTME more than once might not be a very rosy experience for those who do, and trust, it wasn't for Ife. So in this video, she'll be talking about what helped her score higher on her second attempt. She discussed the drive behind, studying, behind preparation on the second attempt, because she was totally uninterested in taking the exam a second time. She will also be talking about how attending tutorial classes helped her gain mastery of certain concepts in her subjects. And finally, she emphasized on the importance of having a community or a support group during the exam process, because at some point she almost gave up, but friends and family pulled through for her. So all links and textbooks mentioned in the video will be put in the description. And if you have any questions, kindly put them in the comment section. Either Ife or I will respond to the questions. And if you would love to connect with Ife after watching the video, which I think you would, I will drop the links to our social media accounts in the description. Do not forget to like and to share the video with those who you think might find it useful. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you find our story motivating and our advice impactful.
Hi, Ife. Welcome to How They Did It. It's nice having you here. Could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here as well. Hi, everyone. I am Ife Olakwabe. I am 17. I'm currently an Education University scholar. I am passionate about education. I took my JAMB in 2022. And I had a total of 320 with 63 in English, 87 in physics, 81 in biology, and 89 in chemistry.
All right, Ife. So the first thing I would like to ask is how you felt when you received yours.
Okay. So one thing that I think I should put as a point is that I took my JAMB in 2021 as well. I had a 279 in 2021. And so when I had that exam, I was expecting a lot more from that exam because I put in effort and I wasn't sleeping. But I think taking the exam again, I wasn't really expecting much, if I would say. So I wasn't really surprised. I was like, I had 320. Oh, awesome. Moving on. So I wasn't like dwelling on it for so long.
So quick question. Why did you take the UTME twice? And I also like to ask, what gingered you to do better on the second
UTME? Okay, so why did I take the exam twice? I wanted to study medicine at Unilag. And so when I calculated the whole aggregates and everything, I think their cutoff was 82. Was it 82 or 80? 80 something. I had a 79.2. So it wasn't enough. Obviously, I had to take the exam again if I really wanted to study medicine. So that was why I took the exam again. And for the other question, what gingered me? I think I had support around me. Particularly, there was someone that was like a dad to me who consistently told me to keep my head in the game because I was really uninterested in taking the exam. After not getting my desired score in the first exam, I didn't really care. But I guess my parents kept pushing me.
Thank you. So now we're going to walk into your preparation for an exam process. Walk us through your preparation. Let us know if there are any unique study techniques, your tips and tricks. Just kind of console for us. We want to pass.
So my preparation started in January. I only decided I was going to take JAMB again. I wanted to go for this diploma program thing, but it's very expensive. So I decided to take JAMB again, right, in January. And so usually JAMB goes on in March, but luckily it was extended to May. So I had like 5 months to prepare. So by the end of January, I started attending tutorial classes. And I think that really helped me. Even though their teachers were not A-star, it was just somewhere there. But I would say my personal study routine I, number one, didn't stress about a lot of things. Like I said, I was not motivated to take the exam. So I think every morning I used to study for like 2 hours and I did past questions. I practiced a lot with the CBT software that I had. And I didn't just practice because I
Sorry,
can't hear you. Are you trying to say something? I do not remember the name, but I will try to get the name for you to you so you can put it on the screen or something. So I practiced with JAMB CBT software. And the reason why I really enjoyed doing that was that it wasn't just about the questions I was asking. The only reason I practiced with this JAMB software was so that I could learn time management. So instead of using the 2 hour limit, I would practice with 1 hour, 30 minutes, 1 hour to try to finish the exam. So that really helped me boost my confidence. Another thing would be, another thing I did differently. I think that number one, I think the biggest one for me is that I didn't stress a lot about it. In the first, at my first attempt at JAM, I remember I wasn't sleeping. I was pulling all-nighters every night. I was not eating. I was saying, this JAM is me and you. It's me and you. 300 plus is me and you. But I think in my second attempt, I put less pressure on myself, and that helped me a lot. There was no night that was reading till 2 a.m. for what? Excuse me? Well, what am I looking for? So I prioritize my health, prioritize my relationship with God. I brought balance in, and that was something that wasn't in my first attempt. So that's something I was really heavy on. Another thing I would say was that I taught a lot of people. I believe in service, and I found out that in every place I help people is where I tend to excel the most. And so at the Shore Center that I attended, I started this thing called the boot camp, even though I wasn't a teacher there, but I volunteered. And so every morning at 7 a.m., which was so inconvenient for me, I would come and I'll tell people to show up and I'll teach subjects, take past questions. I started helping people during my break. I was teaching, even though I'll say, not to say that I did not know a lot, but from the little I knew, it wasn't like I was reading all my textbooks at home, but that really helped me. I served my peers. And I ended up having the best score in that same JAM tutorial at the end of the day. So I'd say because when you share knowledge, you have a lot more to yourself. So yeah, that's something I did differently. I helped other people. Another thing was that I focused on understanding the concepts as opposed to cramming. And I think I was able to do this because I had the right textbook. So the one mistake I made during my first attempt at JAM was that I used the normal textbook that I use for WASSCE. I use essential biology. If you're taking biology JAM, I use essential biology. Why are you using essential biology? Why? For what? So I use the right textbooks. I believe when you check the JAM syllabus, at the end of it, they have their recommended textbooks. I would highly recommend that anybody who's taking JAM checks and gets at least one of those textbooks. So that's something I did differently. I use modern biology to prepare, for example. And so I focused on understanding concepts. And for topics that I felt like I needed to know a lot more about, I used the resources that we have on the internet. So I did research, try to understand and read extensively so that the thing sticks. What else did I do? I think I also got good past questions. I use this past question called JAM Remit. And so it sorts the questions based on the topic. So as opposed to just matching questions from different topics, when I study a particular topic, study extensively, understand the concept, I'm saying, okay, if I really understand this thing, I can answer these questions. So I was taking past questions per topic. And the only time I took past questions with topics mixed all together was during the CBT practice that I did on my own. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If I remember anything, I'll just put it in any of the other questions.
All right. Thank you so much for that detailed response. So you mentioned going to a tutorial, and I would like to ask if in any way it was helpful or instrumental to your success.
I would say that attending a tutorial helped me because like I said at the beginning, it wasn't like just do a star giving all the details. I still had to do lots of studying on my own. But I would say that one thing helping was community. So because another thing I should mention was that is that I did not start with taking tutorials. I didn't start by attending tutorials because my parents could afford it. I had private tutoring. So I started off with private tutoring. So I had like a teacher who would take me physics and chemistry, another one would take me biology. And I found that really boring because it was just me in a class, no motivation, teacher coming 2 hours a week for what? So I felt really bored. And so that's something that attending a tutorial helped me to conquer. It was just bringing me around people who were also preparing for the same thing that I was preparing for. So I think that motivated me in a way. And there were also students at that tutorial where that seemed to know a lot. And you know, when you think you know a lot and you are not surrounded by people who know a lot, you're like, hey, stop going read, you don't know nothing. So yeah, it motivated me. Just community. And I would say another thing would be even though it could get distracting for some people who are not able to control their focus. I think that's something I saw that happened a lot. People losing focus, people coming there to prepare for JAMB, but then ending up doing something else, right? But so I think that it's not really about the academic preparation. I think it's the community and whatever that brought with it. So yeah, it helped me. And do I think students should attend tutorials? I think not compulsorily. I think depending on how prepared you think you are, you know, people can study on their own and still do really well for JAM. I had somebody who studied for JAM in 2021 on his own, but he was still in social and he had like 340. So I would say that if you think it's important for you, if you know you can't study on your own, there are people who don't like studying on their own, right? If you think you want to have like study groups, if you're interested in things like that, and then I highly recommend the JAM class. Also, because they also help you cover topics. For example, when my teacher teaches a topic in class, I just have to just brush over it at home, not like read it deep like that. So I think it helped me maximize time. So yeah.
All right, thank you for that. So now I would like to know when you started preparing for the UTME. I think you've mentioned that before, but right now we're in February and the UTME will start, I think, in April. So like students that are going to take the UTME this year have less than 100 days, about 2 months to their exam. Now I know people that have called me and say, oh, Moy, you know, I've not started studying. Moy, I'm scared I'll fail. Moy, this, Moy, that. And they're like, okay, how should they even start preparing? Because they don't have a lot of time. Now, another question they ask is if they should put more focus on textbooks or on past questions. Because since there isn't much time to cover both, I think they are looking for shortcuts to success. They want to do everything fast. So what's your advice for them? And for those that are yet to take UTME, when do you think is the ideal time to begin preparation?
So the ideal time, I don't think there is an ideal time. Obviously, starting early is always better, but that's not the case now. So you have to look for what works. And I'll say that I personally started mine in January. But for people who are taking JAM this year and have like less than 100 days, first off, I'm so sorry. But that's no reason to lose hope. Like literally, that's no reason to lose hope. I remember my first attempt at JAM, I started like a month to the exam and I had like 279. I would say tips for people like that, if you're just preparing. Number one, identify the topics that you already know. Identify topics you already know and identify topics that you don't know. So kind of like sort of topics that you know in biology, topics that you need help with. And when you know the topics you know, make sure you understand them. Like I said, JAM is about understanding the concept and not really about cramming. So the ones that you know, make sure you actually know them. If you need to study extensively, do a bit of more studying. And then for topics that you don't know, find people who can teach you. This I cannot stress enough. When you find people who can teach you, it really saves you a lot of time and effort. And I found that when you ask questions, you're more likely to remember the concept that the person shares with you because it's like the person is answering something directly that came from you, as opposed to, you know, you're in a class and somebody's just giving general information to everybody. It's kind of like personalized. When you ask a question and you receive feedback. So I'll say ask a lot of questions on the topics that you don't know. Get someone to teach you, get someone to help you. Another thing would be study smart, because I mean you don't have a lot of time. So read a topic, the topics you understand, and the ones that you've recently been taught, take past questions on them, on that topic, not modeled or past questions. What else? Okay, so there's something that I remember sharing with a couple of people at the tutorial center that I attended. I told them about something called the 80-20 rule. So that means that 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. So applying that in JAMB, 20%, 80% of like JAMB questions come from like 20% of the topics in the syllabus. You know, when you take JAMB practice questions, you see that there are some topics that you know undoubtedly they will ask questions on. And there are topics that you know that this thing they're going to ask questions on. I'm trying to think of one. Maybe the systems in biology, they must ask a question on them. So I would say that know the 20% of the subject that you're studying. So that's that bit of that subject that you know they must ask questions on, and ensure that you know information about that. So ensure you have information about those topics. I mean, the 20%. And yeah, I think try to narrow your studying as much as you can, and that will only happen after you sort out what you know and what you don't know, so you know where to put your focus on. Another thing is that make sure you, how do I explain this? Yeah, obviously there are some people who may know everything in all the topics. People like me, I do not know everything in all the topics. Focus on your strengths and try to polish your weakness. So as opposed to, I don't know physics a lot, and it's now like one more to the exam, it's only physics you're studying. Why? When you know biology, when you know physics, sorry, chemistry. So make sure you get really good at your strengths, like sharpen your strengths, get really good at, and know that, okay, my prediction for biology is 90 because I understand biology, because I've covered a lot more topics. And then for your weak subjects, polish them. That's where you should now find community, find people that can teach you, find people that can help you, attend a tutorial that helps you with that subject. So yeah, focus on your strengths and try to polish your weaknesses. I think another tip I would have for people who are preparing last minute would be to use the right textbooks. Like I said, you are taking biology JAMB, you are using essential biology. Why are you shooting yourself in the foot? So get good textbooks. You may not be able to finish. Don't be like those people that want to finish the entire textbook. No, I made that mistake in my first attempt. Just make sure you understand what is necessary for you to understand. I said last tip, but there's another last tip that came to mind. Use JAMB CBT software. It helps a lot. For me, I didn't use it to, know the answers to questions. I use it to learn how to manage my time. So when you use the CBT software, you can start off with 1 hour 45 minutes. Your constraint is 2 hours. When you see that, okay, I've mastered 1 hour 45 minutes, I'm able to finish and check my work over, move to 1 hour 30 minutes. After that, move to 1 hour. Because in my JAMB, I remember that I had like a lot of time to go over it and go over it again because I finished early. So because I'd already prepared myself with the CBT software. So I think that that's something that would really help if you're preparing last minute.
All right. I have a question. Sorry. Did you take the JAMB?
No, not this year. I did not take the JAMB.
But you were already familiarized with the JAMB CBT environment.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, next question. What would you do differently if you had to retake the exam? Like if you had to write JAMB again as a first timer, what was that one thing that you wouldn't do or something you wish?
Okay, something that I wouldn't do. I like that version of the question. Not something I would do, but something I wouldn't do. Something I would not do is not prioritize my health. And by health, I mean not getting it. I would not sleep. Okay, let me rephrase that. I will not stay up all night trying to finish my biology textbook. I will not do that. I will not not take breaks, meaning that I will ensure I will take breaks when I study. There are some people that take pride in, I study for 8 hours, I study for 10 hours. That it doesn't work here. Ensure you give your brain enough rest. It's so important. That's something that I will ensure that I do if I were to take them again. There are a lot of people stressing about it, feeling anxious. Or I remember the night before my exam, I took CBT, like the literal night before my exam, and I had 293. And I was aiming for like 300 because I'd already calculated what I need to get the cutoff mark. So I knew, okay, my score has to be between 320 and 350. But the night before my exam, I took the CBT around 9 o'clock, and I had like 293. I just closed the and I went to go and sleep. Like I that level of stress left me because I knew that no matter what, I did not have to, I don't have to not care about my health. You get what I mean? So balance is so important. That's something I definitely would encourage every single person. It's not a time for you to kill yourself. Yes, your jam is important to make sure you prepare, but also make sure you take breaks and give yourself time to rest. Go out with friends, chill, eat. And another thing that I would do, um, I think something I did this year and I will still continue doing is I find a way to help other people, even with the little you know. I think anybody, like they say, um, he who is first of all will be last. I don't even know how that verse goes, but something about he who is last of all will be first of all. So I think that find a way to help other people. Yeah, definitely, even with the little you know.
Thank you so much for that. I love your responses. Very solid points. All right. So next question for you. We all know that there's always one subject in this exam that poses like issues for us. That would just give us problems. That would say, no, you're not going to get that 300. So what was that one subject that you found most difficult and how did you tackle it?
One subject I found difficult. I mean, the only subject I actually found difficult was physics, and I'm surprised I had an 87. But I'm not so surprised because, okay, let me be honest, I'm actually quite surprised. But to prepare for my physics, because I knew that it was my weak subject, I knew my strengths. I knew my strengths with biology and chemistry. I knew that I would get nothing less than 80 in those subjects. So I really, really prepared for those subjects. But for physics that I knew that I was weak in, what I did was that I really maximized people around me who knew physics. So yes, I was smart, I was doing really well helping other people, but I also surrounded my people who could help myself with people who could help me. So yeah, I got people who could teach me what I did not know. I knew what I knew and I knew what I did not know. And for things that I knew, I made sure to practice, I made sure to solve past questions, understand the key concepts. And then for things that I did not know, I think that I really, yeah, like I said, I maximized people around me who knew. I also got help. I know I had a good physics teacher at the tutorial class. So he taught a couple of things that I did not know. So yeah, that helped me. Another thing would be that because I was weak in physics, every time I had physics class in my JAMB tutorial center, every time I got back home, I made sure to go over what he taught in class and read extensively. So that way I really understood concepts. So yeah, that's something I did. Ask questions, ask people to help me, take past questions based on what I just recently learned. And yeah, I'm pretty.
Okay, so you had the highest score on chemistry. And I guess this is one subject that many students find, I don't know, challenging. So what would be your advice for them when it comes to studying chemistry?
Okay, so when it comes to studying chemistry, I would say that you could know how JAMB says questions in that subject. I think that chemistry and physics are subjects that they try to like make themselves look cool in the way they said their questions, but understand how JAMB says questions in physics and chemistry particularly. But I don't have like any like special, golden tip for studying chemistry because I've always loved chemistry. I've always like done really, really well. I had a really good, yeah. I also think that if you have good foundation in secondary school, like if for my SS1, if you had like really good teachers, there are some things that just enter your mind and they're there permanently. Do you get? So I think I had really, really good foundation in chemistry because of the teacher that I had in secondary school. So preparing for chemistry wasn't really hard for me. So I don't have any golden tip. But I think what would work is that I understand how they ask questions, which I don't think it's a really valid tip, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. So next question is, what was your motivation during this exam process? What was that one thing or one person that kept you
The one thing or the one person that kept me going, I think that I had friends. I had my parents. Also, like knowing that I don't want to take it again. Like I'm doing this and I'm doing this for the last time. Just that what's the word? That that I'll say the decision I made, right, and that focus I had on not taking the exam again was a push, of course. And then friends came through for me when I remember I was part of this Christian community, and because I've been preparing for JAM for so long, I felt tired of preparing. There's sometimes I'm like, I'm not studying today because I'm tired. I'm tired of going to class. I'm tired of waking up in the morning. I'm tired of studying. And there's times I was like, I'm not doing it again. So I think my friends in that community really pulled through for me because I could talk to them. And I would say that my parents as well, they kept reminding me, focus. Because I had so many other things I could be doing, many things I wanted to try doing. I wanted to start to learn how to code, but I had to sacrifice a lot of things to focus on that. So I think parents and friends, and that's zeal in me not to take the exam again. Those three things came through.
All right, then shout out to your parents and friends. Okay, so now I think we're on to the textbook recommendations. So what textbooks would you recommend to study? The subjects you took in the exam. Like you said earlier, I think one mistake students make is to study with the wrong textbooks, textbooks that aren't very good. So which ones would be most effective?
So for textbooks, I would say I recommend any textbook that JAM recommends because they're the ones that set the questions. So go through the syllabus and see at the end of each syllabus, you see that they have the syllabus for JAM. You see that they have JAM recommended textbooks. So textbooks that I used this LAMLAD series because they had specific questions and I needed specific questions so that when I finished studying a topic, I would see if I actually understand the concepts. So I used LAMLAD series for physics, chemistry, and biology. Another thing that came through for me was my modern physics, modern chemistry. I think it's called New School Physics. New School Physics, modern chemistry, and biology. Those three textbooks because I don't know if they were JAM recommended, but they explained things in like a very broad perspective. And there's something that I noticed. These JAM people, they'll just pick a line from that modern, I think it's chemistry. They'll just pick one line. That's that line. I saw you in my exam. I saw you in my exam. So that's something I noticed. They just literally pick a line from it and just remove that one important detail and ask you to guess. Or not guess, but answer it. So yeah, use modern and new school. I think you asked for JAM textbooks, but I also recommend this series called JAM Remix. Really helpful. Like mine was the only past question I used. Very good, very good. You find like 100 questions, 100 JAM questions on one topic at least. And so that was really helpful for me. I'm trying to see from my English textbook. I use this book by this popular English writer. What's his name? Daily something. I don't know his name, but I think he's one that Daily Ashade. I used his book titled something English teacher, something English. I don't know, but it's not A to Z of English. I know it's not that. It's another one about thank you. It's called Invisible Teacher. So yeah, that's the textbook I use for preparing for English. So yeah, I think those are my textbooks. Another thing that I should mention is that I didn't just use one textbook. I think I already created the habit of reading more than one textbook, even in secondary school. So once you get information from a particular textbook, check another one. What does this one say? Can I find extra information? Yeah, so get additional textbook, but you don't have to buy those ones. Maybe ask from a friend or a teacher.
So if for students that want to take the UTME this year and in subsequent years, what's your advice for them?
Yes. I was going to say, for general tips for people who are taking JAM this year for the first time, second time, I think I'll mention some of the things that I have not mentioned before. I think one of the things is to study extensively, read beyond your textbook, watch videos, ask questions from people who know what you're asking about. Another thing is have great association, in fact, because it's so important. There can be people who could be distractions to you. I know people who started off great, but I mean, in the tutorial I went to, and they kind of like got mixed with the wrong people, and they were not get good association. People who want to have the scores that you want to have, people who know much more than you do. and try to be friends with them, ask them questions, study together. Another thing is the relationship with God. I think that really for me was a standout because there are many times that I felt so unmotivated, and then all I could do was ask God for help. And there's many times that I didn't know what to study, and all I could do was ask God what to study. So I think that is super important. Another thing is mindset. Okay, so there are many people who, a few days to the exam, not a few days to the exam, there's so many people that did not have self-confidence. I think self-confidence is something that is so, so important. Like it prepares you for an exam by 50%. No joke. There are many people who feel so unmotivated and they look at themselves, oh, I don't know this thing. Don't embrace that attitude in your preparation. Be confident in what you have done. Just even if you don't even know a lot. I remember there was a guy who, because he didn't finish the syllabus, he felt so bad, like, oh, how will I have 300? Like, bro, don't do that. So have really high self-esteem, build your self-esteem, and a good way to build your self-esteem is to prepare with the JAMB CBT software. Once you see the type of scores you're getting, you know what to work towards, you know how prepared you are. So yeah, build self-confidence. Be around people who tell you good things, not people who talk you down and insult you and say lots of things like that. Last thing is to gain mastery, and I already talked about gaining mastery through the 80-20 rule. So know the 20% of the JAMB topics that results in 80% of the questions during the JAMB exam. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Good association, good mindset, relationship with God, studying extensively, and finding out your 20%.
All right. Thank you so much for those tips. I really love them. And I hope my viewers would, find them valuable. So we've come to the end of this interview session. And I just want to say a very big thank you for honoring the invitation to participate in How They Did It, and for coming up on camera to share your experiences, because, it takes a lot of courage to do that. So thank you so much, Ife.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed being here as well. And I hope that they find my tips helpful.
Okay. Wait, would you like to add any other things, or you've said everything?
I think one thing I did not add was avoid distractions in any way. I think that sometimes this students may look like really distracted, but there's sometimes you know what you need to cut out. There may be some that you may have to change the way you spend your time. Maybe spending less time talking and spending that time reading, spending less time being on Instagram and spending our time studying. So avoid distractions at all costs. That may be some time for some people to cut down on their relationship, but I didn't say anything. But yeah, avoid distractions at all costs. The exam is important. It's just about this time. After April, that's all. So be willing to give it all that you can give it for this time, and just avoid distractions just for a while. You'll be fine.
Right. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, Ife here. So just a tiny bit of story. I took JAMB in 2021 and I had a 279, and I took JAMB again because I wanted to study medicine at UNILAG, and the score wasn't high enough per se, even though to some people they would think that, wow, that's a huge score, but I got that score and I was crying. I was in tears. I was shattered. I was broken. I was in my mind was all over the place, and I fell into depression, but that's not even my story. I took them again the second time, not even using the same principles that worked the first time, but trying completely different things. Because the thing that happens when you do something again, for some people, which was my case, you are less motivated and you're like, you know what, whatever happens. And that was my vibe. And I did not use the same principles that got me a 279. I did not use them in my second attempt. I tried new things. I tried less strenuous things. That is besides my point. Actually, that is my point. Hold on to that. And so in my second attempt at JAMB, I had a 320. 320 came from my not using the same principles that worked the first time. And so I'm starting a mentorship program for everyone taking UTME. Not everyone, just 10 students. 10 UTME candidates this year, and I'm working with them on a one-on-one mentorship program where I get to work with them and identify where they are at in their revision. There are lots of students right now who are feeling weighed down, who don't think they are prepared enough, who don't who think that they have prepared less than their peers, because I mean, when you get to prepare with other people and you see what they know and you compare with what you don't know, you're most likely going to have low self-esteem. So there are students struggling with low self-esteem, who are anxious, who don't even know how to study, who are distracted, who don't even know what resources to use, who are overwhelmed because the exam is just 1 month away. And so I am all for those students, because I was there and I know what it felt like, and I wish I had somebody to sit with me, not teach me, because I had the books, I had the teachers, I had the friends who knew, I had information, I had biology, chemistry, everything available, but I needed someone to guide me and help me, you know, give me practical things that I can apply that worked in my own situation, and not just general tips that you hear like, oh, don't work too hard and not rest, or just very, very general tips. I needed someone to work with me one-on-one to guide me through that process. And so I am making myself available for 10 students to take them through this mentorship program over the space of 4 weeks, to guide them from where they are at in their revision, you know, feeling anxious, feeling like they don't know anything, not even knowing how to start preparing. There are students who have not started preparing. So taking them from where they are at to where they want to be. They want to be, you know, confident. They want to be excited about the exam. They want to feel prepared. They want to actually be prepared. They want to know how to manage their time, because it's just 2 hours, you know, for about 120 questions. I don't remember. Right? They want to know how to manage their time. They want to feel at ease during this exam. They want to know that they have practiced enough. And so I want to get students from where they are at, which is where I was at, and get them to where they want to be, which is all I have just mentioned. And so this mentorship program runs over 4 weeks, starting from next week to the week JAMB starts. Just 4 weeks, and this mentorship program costs 5,000 naira, which is extremely cheap. I have not mentioned everything that I have in store for everyone who applies for this mentorship program, aside the one-on-one mentorship, where I get to work with every student one-on-one. I also have group sessions where I'm going to share general tips like dealing with anxiety, how to study effectively, how to know what study method works for you, how to prepare for JAMB in 1 month, right? Having those group sessions. And lastly, I'm going to be having guest speaker series where I'm going to be having students from, you know, top institutions like UI, students from Chrisland, top students, not just any student, top students share tips that have helped them survive university. Also going to have, you know, sessions on how to, you know, decide what career path you want to follow, how to prepare yourself for the future of work, how to maximize technology, different topics that will broaden their horizon as they prepare to go into the big world, right? To the big career world, the big world workspace. And so that is all that this mentorship program is about. Like I said, it costs just 5,000 naira, and I'm only working with 10 students for a JAMB. I also have the same mentorship program for students taking WASSCE, which is also what people call WAEC, right? I have 20 slots for WASSCE mentorship. Well, WASSCE mentorship starts 1 month to when WASSCE starts, right? But you can still register now so that I have your name check. I have just 10 slots for JAMB and just 20 slots for WASSCE. If you like to register, or if you have someone, you know, a sibling, you know, a cousin, you have a niece, you have someone who is preparing for JAMB and you know would need this, you know is struggling, you know would just you love them so much that you want them to take part in this, please send this video to them. I'll be happy to work with them if they would like to register. And if you would like to register, the link to register is bit.ly/mentorship with Ife. It will be on the flyer that I'll maybe make the cover of this photo post separately. bit.ly/mentorship with Ife. Our classes take place on Telegram and cost 5,000 naira for 4 weeks, not every week. The total fee is 5,000 naira. Just 10 students, like I said, just 10 slots. So please hurry up, register. I look forward to working with you.